Hello, I'm Lindsay, and this is my Culturally Responsive Library Audit project. I interned at Sunburst Elementary School in a 4 to 5-year-old Head Start classroom, and I analyzed 60 books from inside their class library. First, we'll look at gender. In the graph, you can see that the majority of characters are male, even when looking at both included and main characters. Although male characters are slightly higher, I think my classroom does a good job including books that have both male and female characters, like Charlie and Lola as seen in I Am Not Sleepy and I Will Not Go to Bed. I'm also glad to say that there are more books involving real characters versus non-human characters. When looking at race, there was no surprise that the majority of characters were white. However, as seen on the right, there are books that teach and inform children about other children like them as well as other ethnicities. Another thing that caught my eye was the jump in the amount of white main characters and how African American and Latinx characters are tied for second place. Next, I found it surprising that there were no books about Native Americans or the celebration of Thanksgiving, as well as no books about the Civil Rights Movement. Next, I thought that there was a fair percentage of books that included a language other than English, though it was not surprising to find that the only other language used was Spanish. Most books that included a different language were bilingual books like the one you see on the right, If I Had a Dragon. But my class also has books written strictly in Spanish like the book you see on the left. When looking at family structure, most books contained a normal family of a mom, a dad, and 2 kids. There were only 7 books that included a different type of family structure, and I thought this was interesting since most of my students come from a family other than a mom, a dad, and 2 kids. As we can see here, the general book setting was placed in suburban areas followed by rural areas. It was surprising to see that all the books with a rural setting, since no children in my class live in a rural area. I also thought 3 was an extremely low number for the amount of books with a desert setting, since we are constantly surrounded by a desert environment. In my findings, only 2 books touched on poverty or economic struggles. In the book, This House is Made of Mud, it has no characters but is narrated by a child who describes the love for the home he lives in. In my class, there are exactly 10 boys and 10 girls. There's quite a diversity in children as there are 9 white, 7 Latinx, 2 Asian American, 1 African American, and 1 Native American. 7 families which speak another language or a different language from English, and only 1 child comes from an LGBT family. I thought my intern did a good job at providing mirror and window books. In some cases, I think those books could serve as both depending on how you look at it. There's the book about families which could be a mirror but also a window because you can't have every type of family, as well as the book about all the kinds of children's ethnicities. It gives children a chance to see who is like them as well as who else is out there. Additionally, all students but 1 in my class live in a suburban area, so the books can play as a mirror or window when learning and teaching about different living environments.